theme or topic is the divinity. And Babaji, the first question is, why does Babaji use the word divinity as opposed to God?
Generally, when I mention, if I mention God, an imagination to people might come God as a personality. To avoid that, but even in the real way that the divine exists, it's almost impossible to find any terminology, attribute anything. So that's why the best thing we tried to say was divinity. It's neither a personality and it is an entity that exists. That is the rest thing. So that is the reason that I always try to use divinity. At least I avoid using the word God. Rarely might have come in my mouth, but generally I talk of only divinity.
Thank you, Babaji. Babaji, you've said that people don't try to know what God is. They think it is simply believe or not believe. And that neither atheists or theists, people who believe in God or don't believe in God, neither know actually what God is. Could Babaji elaborate on this, please?
Yeah, some time ago, somebody was asking about atheism and theism. I told, in my opinion, both atheists and theists do not know what the truth is. After a stage, both loses its significance. Means once you realize the truth that exists, and that truth you have to recognize based on your culture, character and the reason. Always in science or any topic, any subject, you see, when a terminology is formed, they use such a terminology so that when we use that one, a near imagination might come, strike in the mind. So based on that only a terminology is used. So here, theist and atheist means they believe in a system like God existing as a personality, but his own characteristics and so many complications, everything will come while questioning why this is happening in the world, why people are unhappy, why some are happy, all this, so many things are there. When this type of questions are asked, I have told, the divinity is not one personality who has made this world either to be happy or unhappy. Like another thing I have used, this universe is happening due to the divinity, but not according to the wishes of divinity. These two things are total two different things. Wishes means we need to imagine that the divinity need to be a personality and need to have a mind through which he will think, let these people be happy and let these people be not be happy. So that is partiality. Then we could have asked, if at all you have created, why are you so discriminating? Why have you kept some people as happy and some people as unhappy? So just like sun, the light is coming and the energy, solar energy is all there due to the sun's existence, but not according to sun's wishes. Whichever object comes in front of the sun, they get the light. Depending on the distance, the power of the light also varies. So that is all that is needed. If an object doesn't come in front of sun, it's not going to get a light. And if it goes very long distance where the light cannot reach, then it won't come. But here divinity is all pervaded. That's why faith and devotion are taught. When you develop faith and devotion within your mind becomes more purified, single pointed, and becomes attentive to the divinity. Means our going introvert, it touches the divinity, its origin. That's when the grace automatically can flow. So that's why faith and devotion are taught. Here, because the divinity is not existing at one particular place, it's simply all pervaded. So that's why there is no question of the grace not coming and you going a long distance. You can go a long distance from the divinity only in your imagination. Means when you totally become preoccupied with imagination, which you think it is other than the divinity, and you get attracted to that, this world, materialism, matter, everything like that, and your own personality as a body. A long distance the consciousness has traveled in its imagination. So that is how it has not been able to obtain the grace of the divinity, because it is scattered. It's totally preoccupied with another imagination. It is not able to even visualize the divinity also. In imagination a little bit also. So that is the reason. And that is the reason such exercises are taught, like meditation. If the mind becomes quiet, then it starts going introvert towards its origin, which is recognized as divinity. If it is into imaginations, it goes away from the origin, its origin, in illusion or in imagination. Both are same. When you imagine, that is also illusion. You are into the illusion means you are simply imagining that to be, which is not the truth. So these are some of the reasons why I have used divinity and not God, and the divine's grace obtaining, and people happy or unhappy, the theism, atheism, because both of them believe, depend on a particular belief system. So in my opinion, both do not know what the truth is. So both are simply wasting time when they go into argumentativeness unnecessarily, and often one tries to belittle the other. So that is all. They don't know the truth.
Thank you, Babaji. Baba, if we have a belief in God in a form, or we're attracted to God in a particular a personality form, how does that help us on the path to finally the divinity itself?
Yeah, there is no harm in it. Means when you imagine, what is important is that you shall not try to limit in imagination that God is 6 feet high and this width and he has 4 limbs and 8 heads, like that. You should imagine God as all pervaded. Then he is all pervaded for you. The way your height of imagination there is what matters. That's why faith and devotion, total surrender, these things are taught in Bhakti Marga. Ki God is all pervaded. He is in everything, as everything. He is everywhere, simply pervaded. Yet we can worship an idol with a form, photo with a form. Any such thing is also possible. They are all symbolic. People need to understand. We should not limit. With that one form, that form cannot be existing all pervaded at all times, impossible. Forms are always different in nature. Human forms are there, animal forms are there, world form is there, universal forms are there. So many forms. And whatever we have heard in the way of life that we have been practicing, our own dharma or our duties, our obligations, whatever way we have heard. If somebody had taught us, showing a photo of divine in a form, like a Rama, a Krishna, or Jesus, or in any name, any form. So, but along with that, we were always taught, this is not the only divinity or God. This is not the only God. This God is everywhere. Only one God with many forms and many names. Like that we were taught, and we grasped with total faith. And we never had doubts when we worshipped God in different form. In our Hindu philosophy also, when we worshipped God as Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Devi, Rama, Krishna, any form, We never had doubt and we never had confusion. Oh, I am offering flower to Hanuman, will Rama be annoyed? There is no such imagination in our mind. We just go on putting flowers. One time, one thinks this flower, whatever is available, like that. So that's how we were brought up. We heard, we read, and we, with a firm faith, we absorbed that, firmly believed the same thing is all pervaded. Of course, after meditation and tapas, now we understood everything. I am able to explain also the all-pervadedness and the symbolic way of worship of a form that I have always told in my talks and answers. Like when we were children, we went to school first. Our teacher said, for space, the void place in between these two walls is known as space. That was in the classroom. As we grew up, we got to study other things and understood the same space exists everywhere. It's simply all pervaded. That is, knowledge has to grow and improve like that with God also. Like many times we tell the example, we should not try to put God into one box and tell that God is only in this box and He is not anywhere else. He is here also. You come and worship, you come and do pranam. But if you want to go anywhere else also, this God will not be annoyed, because it's the same God everywhere. Like that I have told answer also for the space all pervaded. Like if I tell the space exists only in the classroom of my birthplace, then all of you will laugh. All of you know that the space means it is all pervaded, though it's impossible to visualize what that all pervaded means. Simply galaxy, space, Milky Way, galaxy, space. Space is the final ultimate truth, because everything exists in the space. Though space appears to be existing in a matter, without that matter or object also, that space can exist then and there itself. Like I am holding this surface in front of me, laptop, and if I remove this laptop also, the space will be there. Space doesn't need this laptop for its existence. Like that, all the matter. It doesn't need the world. It doesn't need the Milky Way for its existence. So that's how we recognize the divinity or God.
Thank you, Babaji. So, yeah, to go into this space as being the divinity, Babaji has said this and explained that the space itself is the divinity. However, for many of us, it's difficult to comprehend because the objects are pass through space. So it seems like the space is like a void, somewhere where objects can be. So can Babaji explain a bit more how actually the very space that is all around us and within us, around us, is the divinity?
Yeah. Well, first point, we'll try to understand the point that you were talking. All the objects can pass through the space. So it has to be a void place. But in other terminologies or sentences, we try to understand this space, what we are thinking as the space. Suppose this is divinity, I tell. Divinity has that special quality which it can allow any matter to pass through its surface. If we try to understand like this is the right definition, in fact, scientifically, I feel. So this has that special quality, whereas no other matter may be able to allow another matter to pass through its surface. But space allows anything to pass through its surface, whether light, sound, infinite bacteria, world, Milky Way, anything. It can exist and pass through its surface. It can appear and disappear also. This also it allows, just like our own mind. If we try to understand the mind, nobody has seen it in naked eyes. I have always asked 100,000 times, can you show what is your mind's color? Where is it located? This is my mind, this is my color. Nothing. Nobody has seen it. But what we can understand is mind is made up of consciousness and energy. That is the nearest terminology I can use. Consciousness means wherever you apply your consciousness, you become aware of that. Now when I am talking, you apply your consciousness, which is now has become mind, come to be known as mind, because of the thoughts and visions that are in that. The same mind is what is consciousness when it is purified. So if you apply your consciousness onto me, when I am talking through the mouth of this body, so then you will be able to become aware of what I am talking. That is the power of that consciousness. So if we try to think positively always, so that means you have the ability to become aware of that truth of existence wherever you can apply yourself. Just now you have applied yourself onto your own imaginations, means mind, you as the mind. It is you. You are thinking my mind. There is no separate entity called a mind. It is within you only. Within you only, because it is imagining, you have identified it as mind by knowing from so many sources that imagination has come. We don't tell I am thinking. We try to tell in my mind the thinking is coming. But both are same, we all understand. I am thinking also is same. In my mind, my consciousness is thinking, is also the same. So that's why that thought has appeared. So now we are preoccupied with those thoughts and visions. Like that only we can recognize the mind. But when it becomes totally purified, then when you feel that one, try to feel, as I tell, amongst millions of thoughts, you have one thing which is not a thought, which is not an imagined entity, which is there, which is the real self. You try to experience that. Means all you have to do is stop thinking. That is your responsibility, to stop thinking. Don't ask me to stop your thinking. Always our students want easily Babaji can touch and stop thinking. Nobody has done it. No self-realization has happened like that. A guru always becomes a torch bearer. He gives the points, he gives the clue, what you are supposed to do. You do this one. Like in mathematics, the teacher gives the clue. This is how you work out, and then the answer comes. You will be done. So like that, then the student learns. So that is how. Now you stop the thinking and then just try to feel yourself. Only you can feel yourself. Nothing else can feel yourself. Anything else tries to feel, it ends up in imagination. You exist. For that, you have to become silent. Then you will see that existence is there, but it has no color, it has no form, and not even formless also. It is there and it is not there. Both. You cannot call it is not there, it is there. You cannot show to anybody it is there because it doesn't appears to be there. Such an amazing, wondrous thing. Through this self-enquiry and self-concentration, what is known as meditation, you can experience this space as supreme consciousness. It's not an ordinary thing. Whatever in science or in other fields that we would have come to know, this is only a void place. That is why, like one argument can be, because any object can pass through this, it has to be a void place. So that is our imagination. We think that an object to pass through, this has to be a void place. Why a void place? This can be anything which might have a special quality that it allows this object to pass through its surface. This exists. This has been allowed by that ultimate truth to exist in that ultimate truth. That divinity has allowed the entire universe to exist in that divinity. It is holding in that one. That is its grace. If the universe has any such special power, it can try to go out of the space. Let it go if it has. Let anybody prove it and show it. So these are the points which everybody need to understand. Not to belittle anybody. Every subject has its own beautiful importance. but simply we need to allow others also to express their opinion and try to work it out. This is what I am telling. Like you tell that it has to be a wide place for this to pass through. I tell ki this has to be having a special quality that it allows this object to pass through its surface. Not only that, this has allowed this substance to exist in its surface. So like that it has done. So special qualities are there. This has been done. Simply it's our imagination that if the matter has to exist or pass through, it has to be a wide place. That's what understanding of the space for the people of this world. If I need to come and sit here in this body, this has to be a wide place. That is the imagination, but not necessarily. Unknown to me, through this body, I might be sitting on the laps of my mother, the divinity. I may not be knowing at the moment, but if I become silent and experience that existence of the self, when you become totally silent, that is the first condition. Then you will be able to feel yourself. Till then you won't be able to feel yourself because your consciousness has gone here with one thought, one here thought, another vision. It wants to do this also, it wants to do this also. All gymnastics are happening. That's why it is unable to feel itself. And in this jumping, the consciousness is stuck with the brain so strongly, only the feeling is of the body. So that is what has happened. So when this happens, then you can experience. Anybody can experience. Law is the same. There is no such reservations. So Babaji is fair complexion, that's why he could realize. Another who is not fair complexion cannot realize. There is no such law. Anybody who can make their mind quiet can realize themselves, can feel themselves. That themselves is neither fair nor unfair, neither black or not white, neither European nor Asian nor African. There is no such discrimination there. It's beyond all such things. Just like your own mind. What is the mind? When the mind thinks, we might call, oh, this is the Indian type of thinking. But the mind itself may not necessarily be Indian or African. When the thinking happens, we try to identify, oh, this is an Indian person, that's why he thinks like that. That is different. But when it is not thinking, where is to which place that belongs to? It's simply in the space.
Wow. Thank you, Babaji. So just to clarify, the meditation that Babaji teaches is the method to enable the mind to give up its imaginations, and the attention automatically goes to the divinity or to the space. We become face to face with that divinity.
Exactly. Like you see, since time immemorial, everybody's mind has become used to imaginations and be preoccupied with the thoughts and visions. Life after life, life after life, so many lives have passed by. That's why if I simply tell all of you sit down, stop thinking, become silent, nobody can do it, nobody can understand. What is Babaji talking nonsense? How can you keep quiet? The thoughts are coming. I'm not doing anything, people will think, but they are the ones who are doing that. That's why thoughts are there. So instead of talking all this, first I just try to tell, gently close the eyes. You can sit in any comfortable posture. Don't complain that you are unable to sit. And then close the eyes. Just watch in between eyebrows, focusing the attention of the mind and sight. You bring the eyeballs here, then the mind also will be there. You steadily watch your own finger, you will see that your mind also is there. If anybody comes and does pranam also, you cannot afford to pay your attention. Hello sir, how are you? No problem. Somebody did pranam, I just had to give my blessing and I had to concentrate here so that I could listen to your question and answer. Otherwise I would have missed your question. Again I had to ask, please repeat the question if I had put my attention there. So that is the power of focus. That's what I am trying to teach. Concentrate in between eyebrows of your mind and sight and just keep watching. At that time, it's important that every student consider me a commander. Just obey. Consider me a master and just have faith. Just like we all learned our languages or any education in the school, when the teacher said, gave a lecture, gave a talk, we absorbed it in good faith. We never asked her why I should tell blue as the blue, why I should tell red as the red. The teacher said, this is red. Yeah, this is red. Okay. Like that we accepted. No, that was in good faith. That faith is needed in the first. That is not a blind belief. Here means, faith means first you take it in good faith and then you practice what the teacher recommends. Through that practice, you will be able to experience the truth. That's what it is. Like when you accepted it as red, as you grew up, you saw everybody calling red as the red only. Nobody is calling the red as black. Oh yes, this is indeed red color. It's a different thing in different languages, different terminologies have been used. All people using English language, they all call red as the red. Nobody calls the red as black. So like that we gained knowledge in experience. First the faith needs to be there. So have faith, just obey it, that a commander is telling you to keep quiet. Just watch it and don't bother for anything. You don't have to do anything in that 1 hour. Anything you can do afterwards. And you don't have to plan for anything. You don't have to be anxious for anything. Nothing is going to happen in that 1 hour. All that is 1 hour. You just become quiet. So like that the master teaches practice. Slowly, 23 years, I am trying to talk the same topic in so many ways, so many, whatever nearest imagination that can come to me, I am trying to change in different languages, different terminologies, doing this, doing that. Whether you consider me as a commander, whether you consider me a father, whether you consider me as a teacher, a guru, anything is all right, even a friend also. That's what Swamiji said. Just consider me a friend and take it in good faith, man. That's what Swamiji used to tell you. Don't even have to obey me, consider me a guru. Just as a friend, consider. I am telling this for your good, for your benefit, so that one day you can know that divinity. So like that we have been teaching. So that is the idea. The first to make the mind silent. Then other things you can understand easily if I try to explain more in that level.
Thank you so much, Babaji. Baba, there's a question that's coming from Bruce, if I can ask. In some of the Indian literature, when they have tried to give some clues to the divinity, they have used terms such as Sat Chit Ananda. Babaji uses the term peace. Could Babaji please explain these terms?
The Sat Chit Ananda term is when your mind stops thinking, all thoughts and visions stop. It attains the real peace. Sat means the truth. Chit, in the consciousness. Peace descends. Ananda. Ananda, what they have mentioned, is the Shanti. Peace descends. So that's what it is. That's the terminology. So know that truth as the divinity. Also some have told further into that sentence. When your mind is into total peace once for all, you have achieved, and that is totally still. Know that stillness experience as the divinity or the truth, ultimate truth. Here's one more question from Ambaji. We'll take that. It's okay.
Baba, you said that only the space has the ability to allow any object to pass through it. But no object has this ability to pass through. One object cannot pass through the other object. It has to replace the object. It cannot pass through each other. But the space allows any object to pass through
its surface.
And the space is everywhere. Means it doesn't require my definition where it exists, where it doesn't exist. So where I'm coming means it just came to is that space which is everywhere and doesn't need any object to certify its existence. Is this space is fully conscious? And if it is fully conscious, does it has power to construct and destroy?
It has the power, creative power, because it is able to imagine, like your own mind can imagine. When it imagines, it becomes creative and it becomes more powerful. We use the terminology as creativity. It can create, but it can create within itself. It holds with, there is no other raw material there except that mind. So the mind creates the things in itself and holds that also, sustains that existence. So that is the concept of word Vishnu that has been used. A created thing sustained for long, not allowed to disappear immediately. But in the concept of Shiva, it can withdraw. We generally use the words of creating and withdrawing because sometimes constructing and destructing may have a wrong effect on the minds of human beings. So,
Baba, just because I asked this thing, because recently I was reading something, means I don't want to bring that topic, but when I was reading, it says that it's a phrase used by the Oppenheimer in the movie. He said that it's everywhere, just the space exists. His friend asked him that, do you believe in God? And he says it's the space exists everywhere, and wherever the object comes, it's obstruct the space. Otherwise, it's just the space exists everywhere, and the space allow everything to pass through, but not the object. Means the one object cannot pass through the other object. It has to replace the one object from its place and put the other object.
that also this dialogue comes.
That's why, because you quoted the same thing, it just came to my mind. Because
I did not see the movie, I don't know any dialogues. She is telling that.
No, because
I just told on my own.
Sorry, Babaji, we had a long discussion about this. Why I'm asking this, why it can be destructive. Because when you say that, the destruction is in ourselves, because through our mind, constant objects in our mind destruct ourselves. That's why I asked, does it construct and destruct? And where it comes the karma theory.
Here, constructive, destructive, we use it when we do such work which is beneficial to us, which is not destructive. We are not destroying ourselves. Like we are constructive to our own personality, to our character, to our culture, our abilities, or to know our real self. That is the construction's meaning here. Destructive we become when we neglect our real self, when we lose our character and culture. We start thinking this body which is not us as ourselves, and lose all character and culture to sustain this body and give happiness to this body. We become ready to any destructive work.
Yes.
So that destructive is what you are talking, I think, right?
Because the mind has an object, and the mind constantly goes into this thinking process. And
Yes.
it can be constructive and it can be destructive. It
By
can be,
imagining and forgetting about its original source, it has become destructive for itself. It is taking away from the supreme peace and becoming miserable and miserable and miserable in this world. Like this world has not allowed anybody to settle in peace. One is impermanence, including the body. The entire universe is impermanence. And also the things and the shapes, the things that are happening in the world need not be acceptable to everybody every time. To some people this is acceptable. To some other people drinking alcohol is acceptable. So for us that is unhappiness. For them this is unhappiness. So that's why nobody is able to settle. So they are making themselves destructible. They are unable to settle down into peace in one concept. So if they go back to the self only, they can have that supreme peace. So that is how we become destructive or constructive when we have the mind. That is the same thing. Krishna has used a language. Atma hi atma ka shatru hai. Atma hi atma ka mitra hai. Means you are your best friend and you are your worst enemy. If you are constructive, you are your best friend, you will elevate yourself, uddhar. Otherwise, you can be destroying yourself. I hope everybody understood, and we can go for the next question.
Thank you, Babaji. Thank you, Amberji, for your questions.
Okay, Babaji, I want to ask you, Rishi Munis used to, in books it is written that God is inexplicable. So this is experienced by Rishi Munis in our text, spiritual text. So why why does Holy Babaji take such an effort to explain that and the divinity? I get paid to see that.
You see, I am not taking any much pain using the nearest clue, imagination, to give you all a clue of what the truth is. That's what we are discussing. We are not discussing completely about the divinity. It is not possible. We are not trying to measure the whole space. We are just trying to measure the space between moon and earth. That is all. Something like that. You understand?
Yes, Babaji.
Good.
Babaji, with the example of standing in front of the sun in order to receive the light, would that be the same as quieting the mind to receive divinity?
Exactly. Very true. That's why the meditation's first concept is to silence your mind. Otherwise it is so preoccupied, like a fish market in itself, chatterbox. So that needs to be stopped first.
Babaji, in the Gayatri mantra, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Babaji has said means now it is always recommended that we adopt that divinity, the divine's consciousness, as a remembrance into our mind. Can Babaji explain how, and that all of our sins and unhappiness can be washed away once and for all? So how does this work, Babaji? Does having remembrance of the divine, the idea of a higher power, help the mind to go quiet, or is this actually meditation that they're pointing towards?
Yes. So when you remember that divinity means, actually in truth, when you try to remember means only in quietness. When your mind becomes silence, that is what the real worship I have been telling, right? If you all remember, in the years of my teaching, when the mind becomes quiet, that is the real worship, real aradhana of the divinity. Because it has no third way. Either it has to be in the world imagining, or it goes back to its divinity, its source. So that is what is happening. Now here, it can wash away sins and unhappiness means. Now you all understand washing away unhappiness. When it is quiet at all times, it is at peace. When it is at peace, it has the peace. So that is one thing, that's what the divinity means. That is why the divinity is known as all pervaded in Mahasamadhi, in total standstillness. It doesn't wish, it doesn't think, it doesn't, only a portion comes out and starts imagining, then it comes out in illusion. That's what now we have become the mind. So that is what is washing unhappiness. Our sins means here grave mistake that we had committed. Not the sins of this world that human beings have adopted. They are always selfish. One set of justice to the other, another set to me. Like that, if you do this, it is a sin. If I do it, it's not a sin. If I rob somebody, it's not a sin, but you don't try to rob. That type of is different totally. It has no meaning at all. We are selfish. But here, sins means by forgetting about yourself, you had committed a grave mistake. That is the sin means here. By committing this grave mistake, you had put yourself into an ugly situation, miserable condition, undergoing unhappiness, stress, fear, all these corrupted things. Now, once you adopt that meditation, that attention of yourself to that real self, when you become silent in the mind, when you meditate on the real self, that's what you are doing when you become silent. That is the real worship, as I told. Then all these will be washed away once for all. So that mistake will be rectified. That grave mistake will be rectified. That means that sin will be washed away. That's what we need to understand.
Thank you, Babaji.
Wonderful, very beautiful questions came up today to give some understanding. As the question was also asked, we all must understand the ultimate truth. We cannot explain it as it is. Just like as we cannot measure the space as it is. No second thing can ever measure the space. Only the space can measure the space. And if you want to know the space, you have to become the space. And when you become the space, there is nothing to know. That is the ultimate truth. Like many great sages who have self-realized, like Ramakrishna also has told examples. When the salt doll wanted to know the depth of the ocean, it jumped. When it jumped, it melted in the ocean. It itself was lost. So there was nothing to know. That is the ultimate truth means. That's what. But however, little bit clue we try to give you all so that you can understand what you are trying to do when you are trying to meditate, why you have to become mentally silent. What is it that you can experience? You can experience this space as the consciousness of existence within. When you go within, that is what is needed. That's why this meditation is taught. To have faith in yourself, practice regularly, every day you practice,